influencer marketing is all about, communication. It's all about how can you communicate with another human, whether it's, finding the right creators, whether it's working with a brand and building out their strategy.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of The Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory. Today with me I have Lindsey Gamble, Associate Director of Influencer Innovation at Mavrck. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. I told you this, but I've been listening to a lot of the episodes, so it's great to be able to have the chance to come on and talk to you.
Thank you. Absolutely. You are really the right person because, and I'm going to tell you more about, like in the pod, but you are really active on LinkedIn, your on newsletter, and you every single day that I go out, like I can see that you are on top of everything. So I was like, this is the guy, okay? He knows everything that is happening. So I want to know more, okay? First of all, how you get be updated on everything that is happening, what do you think about the creator economy and so on. But before we even start, can you just say to the audience a bit more about you, how you got into these and what do you do on a daily day-to-day operation?
Yeah. So I like to think of myself as like a marketer and a creator. My career journey has been really unique. So I guess to kind of set the tone, I graduated 2010. I went to Brown University where I studied communications, played football. That was kind of my heart. I wanted to, go professional. Had some opportunities to play in some smaller leagues and whatnot, but decided, hey, let's go to, my next goal, to get a job in social media. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a job in social media. I didn't take any internships, and I would go through the interview process and make it to the last couple of rounds, but I would always lose out to someone that had an internship or experience. And so, I did a bunch of temp jobs, and I came across a temp job at Dana-Farber, which is a cancer hospital here in Boston. And so I temped there, eventually got a full-time job, and worked there for six or so years. It wasn't something I was passionate about, but it was helping with the fight against cancer. And I also looked at it as an opportunity to kind of build up my own internship and gain that experience that I was lacking. And so at the same time of working there, I created a hip hop blog where I kind of taught myself everything about social media, content creation. I really built my experience from the ground up while I was working and paying my bills. Eventually, I got to the point where I felt really good about that experience and was able to move to an influencer marketing agency outside of Boston. Worked there for 6 months, unfortunately got laid off. So kind of devastated, but that was a great opportunity. It brought me to where I am today at Mavrck. And so, as you mentioned, I'm Associate Director of Influencer Innovation, but my journey at Mavrck's been really interesting as well. So today, my role is really focused on keeping a pulse on the creator economy, finding new ways for our customers, brands to work with creators on new platforms, new use cases, and just new ways to kind of bring brands and creators together. Before I moved into this role about 2 years ago, I ran campaigns for a lot of different brands. So, kind of built the knowledge of execution, and now it's more strategy, big thinking, experimentation.
I love hearing that you actually work on campaigns because that gives you a lot of knowledge, right? You can see the behind the scene, what people are asking you, right? I guess that you, what did you learn the most from that experience?
Yeah. So I learned a ton. I think what's really cool about working for, a company that was a startup that's scaling is that you get to do a lot. My previous role, it was kind of very agency-like where, it was kind of the hierarchy. At Mavrck, since we were really scrappy, you really did everything. So you dealt with customer communication, you built up the strategy, but you really got to see the full kind of funnel of what takes an influencer marketing program from beginning to end. And so what I really learned is that influencer marketing is all about, communication. It's all about how can you communicate with another human, whether it's, finding the right creators, whether it's working with a brand and building out their strategy. Things happen. How do you troubleshoot? And so I think a lot of times, regardless of the platforms and the technology and the teams, it really, influencer marketing and the creator economy really comes down to relationships. And that's what's going to keep it going forward, or maybe, stop that progress of it.
Amazing. Yeah, it makes sense. Again, it's especially at the beginning when you do different roles at the same time, you can see every aspects of it, right? And I think that what is helping you now to be able to get it at the, looking at the innovation, right? You need the basics, right? And understanding how does it work on the day-to-day operation. If not, if you have the pulse of the situation there, I think it's difficult to understand what is going to happen in the future, right? So I like that you come also from that one. And let me also ask you, what what did change it mostly in the past, let's say 5 years, because 10 years is too much, but in the past 5 years, right? Because influencer marketing, it's in social media are working like and changing like crazy every single day, right? But so let me ask you, what are some of the things that the you of 5 years ago were maybe challenging with, or or even social media were challenging with, or any differences there? Like, what do you see that changed mostly in the past years?
Yeah, I would say kind of taking a bigger picture is just social media. Social media before, 4 or 5 years ago was just something that was an add-on to your life. Now life is fully integrated into it. Everything that we do is based around social media. It's like, when you see people, it's like, hey, did you see so-and-so got married? They see it on social media. Social media is just like a central part of our lives. It's continued to be that. I think from a social influencer marketing standpoint, think about 4 years ago, I just myself, but also people thought influencer marketing was just basically you give creators, a product and they create content around it. Now, the way that brands and creators can collaborate is so different. And that's where I'm really excited about. That's where my head goes. Like, what are the different ways that brands and creators can come together? It's not just creating content. It's like, how can you bring a creator into your business? Can they be, a consultant and help you with product development? Can they provide consumer research? And so I would say the biggest thing is that we're seeing more brands and marketers leverage creators, and not maybe leverage isn't the best way, but bring creators into the business in a lot of different ways, more so than what we saw about 4 or 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Like, we've been seeing just like merely promoting third-party products, right, to be integrated in. And now you have like the chief influencer officer, then maybe it's like an influencer, right? And they started with that, and then they get integrated in the company. Also because, to be honest, they know better sometimes that the company, what the audience want to see, right? The right lingo to use on social media, the do's and don'ts. So I can see that. And by the way, like, even before getting into details there, how do you get like always updated on things? Because again, you really are every day. Like, if there is something that is out, you are even tweeting about it, your LinkedIn, you have your newsletter. How many hours do you spend like just to be in the loop of trends?
Quick break. This podcast is hosted by the Influencer Marketing Factory. We are an influencer marketing agency that helps brands and companies engage with Gen Z and millennials on social media. We take care of influencer identification, storytelling, creativity, negotiation, contracting, campaign management, ROI analysis, in-depth reporting, content boosting, and much, much more. Are you interested in learning more? You can find us at theinfluencermarketingfactory.com, or you can Google the Influencer Marketing Factory.
It's a lot. I should time track it, right? It probably is an additional 10 to 20, maybe more a week, probably. The way I think about it is like what I've thought about is like influencer marketing, creative economy is something that is relatively new, and I want to be not the best, but I want to be, I want to be a distinctive voice, and I want to be kind of one of the thought leaders, and not in a way that's kind of, I'm the best person with the opinion, but really, I found it really great to be able to carve out a space in something that's relatively new. And so, some of the work that I do outside of work and my work kind of overlap. So it's really beneficial in that way. But like, I kind of approach my work or like what I do from the newsletter to LinkedIn, similar to what I've done in my life. When I played football, I was fully into it. I want to be the best. I want to make sure I'm putting that full effort. When I used to do artwork, the same thing. When I ran the hip hop blog. And so it's a little bit of sacrifice. So, I'm working my job, 9 to 6, 9 to 5, whatever it is. But, I'm an early riser. So I get up, I do my workout, I get about 4:30 to do my workout. That's how I win the day. And then, once I get ready for the day, I use that time to kind of work on my passion projects and to kind of catch up to the news, to write my newsletter, to do those different things. And then, when I have the time after work, I'll, connect with other folks in the creative economy and kind of, build or utilize the different ways of learning. And I think outside of just being able to find information, it's really being able to take that information and put your own spin on it. There's a lot of people that's, highlight the newest features, but, besides it just being a headline or, hey, this platform came out with this new feature, what does it really mean? And that's where you really can provide value to the creator economy and people that are looking to learn more about it. And so that's kind of my philosophy. If I'm going to do something, let's try to be the best at it, and let's try to educate and push forward and do my small little part as an individual and a
I
creative.
love it. And talk about, getting, the best in something. By the way, congratulations. I saw the news about being one of the top, what is called the 10 top voices in the creator economy by LinkedIn. It's like one of those new badges, right, that they give it to you? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So LinkedIn, yeah, it's awesome. So thank you for that. LinkedIn's been doing these like little list of the top voices and different industries, and they did one in the creative economy. And myself, I was on that, which very thankful for. I think what's really, I was surprised, but also not surprised. I think it was really cool to see myself up there with a lot of folks that I've looked up to or followed when I first got into influencer marketing and creative economy. But also cool because kind of myself building out this little audience and not necessarily having a big publication or a company that's really kind of spearheading that. It's really just leveraging social media just like a typical creator to share your thoughts and your voice and kind of build that community and kind of put up the shots, and eventually they go in the hoop.
And that is the idea, right, of being like a creator, that you don't have to start with like crazy expenses. You don't need necessarily a big team. You don't need like a history of like 100 years as a publication, but you can really get to a lot of people. So since now you got into the top voices of the creator economy, and you already said that before a bit, talking about social media, but what is, in your opinion, the creator economy? Because it's a big buzzword nowadays. Everyone is using it. Sometimes, in my opinion, not in the right way, but in your opinion, what is it nowadays, the creator economy?
Yeah, some people have a lot of really thorough definitions. I just look at the creator economy as people being able to do what they love, whether it's for passion reasons or to make money or to do it full time. I think there's a lot of when we read articles and when a lot of the big voices talk about the creator economy, it's always about being able to create content and live off of it full time. But there's a lot of people that just want to create content on the side and make money, but also kind of, share their knowledge. And I think I kind of fall in that, right? So I have the luxury of having a job that I can pay the bills and live how I want to live, but also on the side, like, I'll get opportunities through speaking and whatnot, but also when I'm not sharing thought leadership, I am a creator from a, travel and hiking standpoint where I get to work with brands too. And so those are great opportunities to make a little bit of money, but also to kind of put myself in the creator POV. And so I think it kind of comes down to being able to, take your knowledge or your skill and kind of build a following and get some type of opportunity from it. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's, a job or a connection or consulting. But I think that's kind of like the basic way I.
Absolutely. And on that, I want also to ask you, because, before you said how this changed, right? And then people can do the 9, like as you just said, you can do 9 to 5, and then you can also have something extra. Some other people instead, that's what they do, right? Their full-time job is being a content creator or being an influencer online. And nowadays, every social media is trying to, right, get a piece of the cake and try to get more influencers, not just to check on their page, on their services, but actually to stay, right? So we saw in the past Snapchat that tried with Spotlight, giving away 1 million a day, didn't last long. Then we had, now TikTok that is giving, some of the, but people are not really that happy because the payout is not that amazing. YouTube has been one of the first, like 15 years ago already, with the CPM model giving away. So my question for you is, since every social media is fighting to get the attention, right? The attention is something that you can get, but how do you retain actually content creators on your platform? Is it just money? Is it opportunities? What is it that can maybe give them more to stay?
I think it comes down to one of two things, and kind of what I talked about a little before. It's like the opportunity to build an audience and a community, and the opportunity to monetize. And depending on the creator and where they are in their life, and what they see, being a creator is. Some want to do both, which is probably the full-time creators, right? They want to build a community where they can monetize that through their own products or services or brand deals. There's people that just want to build up an audience. That they're passionate about cooking and they like to be able to share that knowledge. Or even myself, I'm passionate about influencer marketing. I like to share that and kind of instill people with that knowledge. And so I think for platforms themselves, it really is like it depends on the creator. I think a platform like LinkedIn is really great for audience building, where they're not necessarily, there's not any direct monetization tie-ins, but if you build an audience and you utilize it, you can get a new job, you can get speaking gigs, you can get podcast invites, you can kind of get things that may be monetary, but also indirectly not monetary. Where, you know, some of the other platforms have gone with the creator fund, where we see there's a lot of pushback, right? Because the creator fund is essentially just a way to get people to, you know, really invest in that platform, and then eventually changes. It's like when you sign up for, you know, Adobe, and it's like, you know, 70% off or 30% off. When it goes to the regular rate, it's like kind of like, are you going to want to still keep that membership? And so I think the platforms need to, instead of them trying to look at being all in one for every creator, to kind of focus on what their platform does best. You know, I love TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok, right? For me, that's not something that I've, you know, seen a ton of investment in or worthwhile right now, but short form video is really it. You know, LinkedIn is something that's been really great for myself, and Twitter and those platforms. You know, Instagram, I've been in Instagram for a while, but it's not giving me the audience growth that I have on other platforms. And so, you know, I use it, but it's not something I'm investing in at this time a ton. And so I think it's really building out tools that help creators do one of those two things, and not necessarily trying to do both at the same time. It's like, how do you help creators when they're on your platform and create the best experience, and know that they're going to go to other platforms depending on what they need. And so hopefully more platforms kind of look at it that way, as opposed to trying to be the one-stop place for every creator, because that gets too messy.
I do agree. Especially in the past 2 years, everyone tried to copy each other's features, forgetting that sometimes it's not about the feature, but it's about the community, the sub audiences, right? The sub, you know, the alt channels, right? So I think that is and on that, I also wanted to ask you something else. On the, again, you said that you are really big on LinkedIn, and of course I went through your activity and I read like a lot of your posts, right? And one of that got my attention is about actually how influencer marketing. You said this, okay? Because influencer marketing is getting like a serious business, you know, year by year, right? I want to say serious, mostly because the both of us, we've been into this for a long time. And we remember, right, when no one wanted to say, I am a YouTuber, right? That was not a thing. Like, you prefer to say, like, yeah, I work like somewhere else, that's saying, like, I am a YouTuber, because no one was taking you seriously. Like, yeah, that's a hobby, whatever. Like, that is not a real job. And then finally, right, between regulations and between, like, the focus that we're giving to influencer marketing is becoming a, let's say, serious business. And then you, on LinkedIn, you said this, I'm going to quote you. You said, is creator content being viewed in the same light as content produced by Hollywood? Yes, if you ask YouTube. And then you continue right on that. It was a big post. But can you tell me a bit more about that? Like, what do you think that nowadays YouTube videos can be almost on the same, or even at the same level of Hollywood content?
Yeah, so more context for the folks that are listening. So YouTube launched Primetime channels, which basically is a series of different streaming apps. So Showtime, AMC Plus, and now they're, you know, you can buy those services and have that content that you buy be integrated fully with YouTube content. So creator content, and then, you know, premium studio network content. And so, and that's one of the biggest changes, right? Where you said, like, at some point, people used to look at creators and the videos they shared, or the photos they've taken, as lesser value. And not just in the quality of it, but just like something that's different than the content that is produced in Hollywood, that has, you know, $1 million budgets and has, 50 to 100, hundreds of people that are working on it. And so now today is like creator content and, you know, premium streaming content is the same, in the sense that what we consume, we're not really looking, most people aren't looking at, hey, this is a TV show, or this is like a YouTuber video. We're all consuming a little bit of both. And so what YouTube did, their move really signals how that experience is really coming to light even more. I know personally, you know, I have a ton of different streaming services and apps, and I'll watch a TV show or movie, and then I'll go to YouTube and want to, you know, kind of watch a creator, you know, break down that movie and give me that review. And so, like, they really complement each other in a sense. And while maybe the budgets and the quality of the videos might be different, they're kind of on equal playing field. And so along with that post, one of the things that I kind of compared it to was now when you go to Target, you can see products from the biggest, you know, CPG brands aside, you know, products and brands from creators. It's like kind of like it's all becoming one. And so I see a lot more of that happening in the future when it comes to streaming and entertainment, but also products and services.
Absolutely. And since we're talking about products, let me jump to another topic. And I'm picking your brain because, again, you wrote about many things. So, I want to use this time, right, to pick your brain on every different possible topics about the creator economy and so on, and social media. And so now that you say something really interesting, like how products are being more involved, right, on a day-to-day on social media with influencers, content creators, and so on. And we've been seeing in the past that and it still is, but I want to know your opinion. The way to buy something right online through social media, it's a bit still, I would say, there is a friction still happening, right? Because you have to see something, you have to go to a third party and so on. So we wrote last year a report about social commerce, right? We asked many people what they think about it. We surveyed people mostly in the US. We made a comparison between the US and China, because in China has been working very well for 10 years. In the US, not that much. In Europe, not that much even. So I wanted to ask you, social commerce, right? So for people not familiar with the term, to make it super long story short, it's a way where you see something on a social media and then you buy a product or whatever, a course, whatever it is, directly on the app without having to live in the app. And even better if this is native, right? So for example, with Instagram, you can buy something, you have already something in the cart, you can just add your information once, and once that is done, it's in the system, and that's it. So let me ask you this. Do you think that, first of all, is it working in the US? Do we have an infrastructure there? And if not, what is missing in order to make it frictionless and a smooth experience for people?
Yeah, that's a great question. Social commerce is a big thing that I always think about. And I think, when I was going into this year, I thought live shopping would be much bigger than what it is in the US. And I think what most of us marketers have realized is that social commerce here in the US is going to take a little longer. I think one of the great things, or like the evolution of social commerce, is that a lot of the platforms have shoppable content, and so that's like that cuts down on kind of like the first barrier, right? Whenever the time before there was shoppable Instagram posts, at some point, you've seen a creator and a product, and you had to swipe up in a story, or put that URLs into your browser and find it. Now you can directly click through, and so there's that ability, but there's still friction in terms of people getting used to shopping on social media platforms. I don't know about you, but I don't have my information in Instagram. So like my credit card or bank account, and I think that's one of the biggest things, because there's a lot of people that don't trust platforms, and so I think if you don't trust a platform, you're not going to put your information in there, and if you don't put your information there, you can't directly shop in app. So I think that's one of the reasons there too. And so I think it's kind of like where, social media platforms came, and now they're trying to layer on the shopping aspect, but it's still, well, we think of it as marketers, the perfect, combination. For the everyday person, it's still not natural. I even know when I see creative content, I still tend to go to Amazon to purchase it, right? Because I'm familiar with that workflow. I have my information there. I know I can get that delivery in a day or two. And so I think for social commerce to work, just in general, is that whether it's a brand or a creator, there has to be an added benefit outside of just convenience, right? Just because you can add a product to cart and click through, there has to be something that's gets someone to buy on Instagram as opposed to going to Amazon. And so I actually ran a campaign with a beauty brand where it was focused on testing out shoppable posts. And so what they noticed on the data from their end is that there was a spike in traffic on Amazon because they had that product there, and the pricing was the same. It actually was cheaper on Amazon. And so like, if you're an everyday consumer, like you're going to go where it's a little cheaper and more convenient. There's a value prop there. And so I think just if I was a brand, if I'm going to do social commerce, I'm going to empower creators with a promo code that's exclusive to Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, so that they don't want to go to Amazon or go somewhere else to purchase it. So that's one thing. I think from a general standpoint, it's just like, it's hard. It's hard to get people to buy. It's hard to get people to buy in real time too. Like there's a lot of stuff I see and I might not need at that time, but I'll go back on Amazon or I'll go on the website to get it. And so I think what is really great about what we do is like creators are going to be the ones that help kind of take the process of discovery to purchase. Creators can provide, the recommendation, describe a product, a service, similar to what you can do in a store, right? And so they're going to be the ones that really help brands with social commerce, as opposed to brands, trying to get people to buy their products on social media.
Yeah, it makes sense. I do agree with you on that. Like, it's still missing something, and also, I don't know. Also, if you think that is one of the reasons why, but I was reading that, for example, in I think that was an article from 2014 that China population already in 2014 used to access the internet by mobile more than from desktop, mostly because of like rural areas and difficulties to have like a computer in your house. Sometimes you were not able to afford one, but you were able to afford like a mobile phone, right, a smartphone. So I think that also that difference, it is also cultural and historical, right? In the US, it took more time to get more people on mobile to access the internet, while in China, everyone used to do everything from paying the bills to give money to friends already like almost 10 years ago, right? While I think that in the US, I think it's still quite new, right? So I think that sometimes not just the technical gaps, but also culture.
Yeah, right? For sure. I think it's that you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's like kind of the behavior. I think I don't know when it was, but it used to be. I used to prefer to go in store to buy something as opposed to buying it online, just because I was used to it. And I think with some of the the big retailers out there, Walmart, Amazon, they make it a lot easier. So we're getting used to it, but there's still that kind of consumer behavior. And so if it took China, how many years to really get it to that point, like, maybe it's not this year, maybe it's 5-10 years, but brands and creators should still invest in it.
Absolutely. And in terms of like behavior, right? Because again, that makes a lot in the experience of a user. And I think that we all seen like lately that TikTok has changed like even the behavior of the people there, like going from I just go there and whatever, it's like mostly push right to me. So I go to the For You page and I just look around, whatever it's pushed to me, to actually pull marketing, right? So people are using it as a search engine. What to do in New York for a weekend. Keto diet recipe, right? So you have all these type of things, and it's interesting, right? How we change it from push to pull. So, and you also wrote something about this on your LinkedIn about SEO for social media, right? So search engine optimization. And we also that, for example, TikTok made the caption longer. YouTube, we all know how important it is to use the right keywords. Instagram also did it in the past years. Is there any techniques that you or someone else that start using lately that maybe help you win more audience and views on social media, text and SEO?
So I think the way that, SEO is huge in blogs and websites, right? And so marketers, creators need to take that same kind of philosophy with their social media content and their profile. And so if you think about it, if you go on Instagram and search, now when you search for keywords, there's, a string of keywords that relate to that. If you go to it, if you look at the content, it's not always the content that has the most likes or the best piece of content. It's content that has used those keywords that is most relevant. And so that's kind of, that's a small optimization. And so I think, especially in influencer marketing, where I think there's a real opportunity for brands to work with creators to kind of provide the keywords, just like they would when you're creating a blog post of like, say it in your own words, but include these keywords because we want to kind of come up in search when people are searching for these things. And so that's something that I've kind of thought about too with like LinkedIn. When I'm writing content, like creator economy is that's the low hanging fruit. But a lot of times when I'm kind of looking for other people's perspectives, I'll search for keywords that I think would kind of come up. And so I kind of reverse engineer it. And so I think we're seeing creators do that. They've always done on YouTube, right? So that's always been a natural behavior on YouTube. And I think with TikTok expanding the captions, that's going to become a bigger thing, especially if people see, results from it. And so it's really like websites, blogs, social media platforms. A lot of the same strategies are coming, over to social media platforms. And so if you think about it, if you're a small business and you want to get seen, work with creators, but also make sure your profile is optimized. So, hey, local Boston bakery that, sells coffee and whatever the keywords are, think about what your customers would be searching for and what, keywords they'll look into and kind of optimize that way. Ideally, you'll get in front of more people that may have not heard of it.
And also on that, sorry, but like, do you want to add something? Sorry, I cut you off on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. along with search is too
Yeah.
location, right? The location features. So Instagram has maps now. And so maps is an awesome feature because not only can you search for a place, but now you can see local places. And so keeping the lens of influencer marketing, typically when you're working with creators, they're not tagging a location unless it's like a live or in-person experience. But there's a huge opportunity, if I'm working with a brand and maybe it's, a men's grooming product. I work with Everyman Jack. I typically won't, tag the location, but I should tag Boston, right? So that when people are looking for Boston, there's a chance that they come across that content because it's tagged with Boston. And that's even super important for local businesses and businesses that are in regional areas. And TikTok's doing a similar thing with location tags. And so between keywords and hashtags and these location tools, like search is becoming huge and a big part of social media.
Everything helps, right? If you put that together, right? Like you can scrap some use here, some in there, and especially for people that might not follow you already. I think because TikTok is mostly like for people that don't follow you, but on Instagram, there is the opposite, right? Like only people that follow you already must see your content. So yeah, you should use all the different, also all the different engagement tools that you can have, right? There is another story, it's not SEO, right? But and on that, I also wanted to ask you this. So you said before that sometimes whenever you have to write posts, right, you start with maybe with a keyword, then you start looking at others of what else other people are looking for. And before you had to write everything by yourself. But nowadays, especially in the past months, the text AI generation went bananas, and especially not just that has been there for a while. But now we look at text to image, and also, I don't know if you saw that, but you have text to video. To me, it's crazy still. I still trying to comprehend that. But do you think that is, first of all, do you use it? If so, do you like it? Like, do you think that the level is good both for text and also images? And three, how this is going to change the creator economy? Because there are now people on Fiverr, for example, that do that for a living. There are a lot of gigs economy that are doing that. So do you think that this is going to replace or is going to be an integration? And is it going to be here to stay, or is it just going to be one of those phases like where everyone is going to talk about it for 6 months and then it disappears?
Yeah, AI generated content and tools is like something that's really top of mind. I've written about it lately, and I think it's still early, right? I feel like it's when like NFTs, there was people knew about NFTs, but like it wasn't really mainstream. And so, as someone that's always looking for the next thing and focused on innovation, I have experimented with those. I was using one of the text to image tools and just playing around with it just so that I can kind of get familiar with it. And it's kind of crazy. You can put a couple of keywords and spit out a image in a matter of seconds. And there's also creators that are building their own following off of, text to images and text to videos. And so the way I see it is that it's going to disrupt the creator economy, similar to if you think about, but within the creator economy, it's going to disrupt the creator economy, creators between creators. And so when, kind of like if you look at, the last disruption in the creator economy, before the creator economy was the creator economy, it was creators disrupting brands. Brands would typically do in-house photo shoots, and then creators came along and they kind of changed the game for brands. And now we're seeing, artists and photographers potentially being negatively impacted by these new tools, because these tools can really democratize, the ability to create a piece of art or a photograph in a matter of seconds. And so there's friction there, right? But on one end, I think it's great because it's going to make more people creators. The iPhone created a lot of photographers because of the tools and the editing software. TikTok created, great videographers because of the tools and the editing, experiences. And now these tools are going to create even more creators, because essentially anyone can do it. If you can put a couple of words together and kind of figure out how they work and create these great pieces of content. Is it ethical? It depends on who looks at it. I think for an artist, I would, kind of be upset, right? But if they can add on more revenue streams where the artist and the photographers whose work is being used, where they can kind of get royalties or some type of cut of it, it could be a new way for them to monetize. But also, like, it's coming. You have to embrace it, right? So I think it's gonna. So the way I look at it is like two ways. It's gonna help more people become creators and kind of create more opportunities. And then the second way, it's going to help create existing creators kind of speed up their workflow and had better creative processes. You know, for someone that's creating a video, maybe they don't need a storyboard, the video, they can just use one of these text to image tools and kind of create a video storyboard and kind of build a video off of that. You know, you talked about some of the texting tools as well. Like maybe some people don't need to write blog posts. I tried them out to kind of see if it works. It's still very different, but it speed up a lot of productivity and efficiencies.
Yeah, I think that maybe for something that's shorter, like just some ideas, it makes sense. But I'm still a big fan of like personal touch in something that you write, because you want to, even knowledge, right? Like AI, we're gonna put together most as of now things that are like either like pinned content from already something that is existing. So I don't think that we're there yet to make new content out of it. It's mostly like, you know, rephrase things. While instead in the images and video, that is a bit more interesting, because it's something that it's even difficult, right, for people to, because something is writing that is a bit easier than making, you know, a picture or video.
One thing too is like the way I think about it is like music sampling, right? So today, like I was talking to my wife about this, especially within hip hop. Like some of the top songs are just samples of previous hip hop songs that were samples of, you know, classic, you know, blues or jazz, whatever it is. And so I kind of see AI generated content being similar, where like you know, with sampling is like if an artist can get paid off, you know, a song they created 20 years ago that continues to kind of be relevant and kind of help a new artist with a creation. There's no reason why a photographer or videographer can do the same. And if it means that they're bringing in revenue without having to do any additional work and I get the proper credit, I think more people will be open to that.
I love the reference also to the samples. This is something that it doesn't like with the episode, but like, do you know like woosample.com?
Yeah. That's,
The website there. Okay, yeah. I spent many like, you know, years on that one, because I was like a big fan of just seeing what is you know, coming from which song, and I really like the idea. Like if you like have something similar to WooSample, that is mostly for people not familiar, but you can go there and be like, okay, this song, this sample, like, you know, this beat reminds me of something. You can go there and you can look at the origins like of that one, and actually if this is a remix of a remixer, you can go back in the history and find that. And I think that maybe if we can add, as you said, an extra layer on that one and be like, okay, after the sample, can we create something that is maybe a remix of different samples and so on? You can do that for music. You can do that with pictures and videos. So I see what you mean. Like instead of being like, oh my God, what is happening? I'm afraid of these. Let's look it into new revenue stream, new opportunities, right, for people, right? Instead of being like, I want to close in myself, like, and just avoid to see what is happening in the future.
Yeah, I think it's basically going to have a similar journey to NFTs, right? Create opportunities, but also a lot of controversy. And then this year we're going to see a lot of creators lean into it, but also the VCs like see it as a big, you know, cash opportunity. It's already happened with big tech, Facebook, TikTok, Shutterstock, Microsoft, Google. Everyone's getting involved, and so there's something there. There's a business. There's an opportunity. You know, will it last? Who knows? It really depends on kind of the general masses, but it's something I've been thinking about and paying a lot of attention to.
Is there anything, before we go to the last personal and fun question that I wanted to ask you, super quick Q&A session, but is there anything else that is exciting you lately that you're like either like following closely, something that I didn't ask you today that we should look at, or something that excites you?
Yeah, we talked about this a little earlier, but I'm really excited about the opportunity for creators to really become, you know, full-time employees at brands, right? There's been some really great use cases of just brands not just wanting to work with creators on content or just in a like, you know, a scope of work way, but like seeing creators as their next CMO or their, you know, design manager or their, you know, whatever it is. And so I'm really excited about that because it's another opportunity for creators to leverage their unique skill set and to, you know, get opportunity from it that's, you know, long-term or just long lasting. When, you know, if I could hire a team, the first thing I would look for is people that create content or are creators as well, but also marketers, because that POV on both sides is critical to understanding the creator economy and understanding where things are going, but also being practical. And so I think of it like players and coaches. So going back to my love for football, there's some great coaches in the NFL that, you know, have only been coaches. And there's some great coaches that are, you know, they used to be former players. Not that you always have to be a former player and a coach, but if you have the experience of playing on the field, you can speak to players because you've been there, and you can kind of see it, from their aspect. And then the same thing when you're a coach, you can kind of have that holistic view. And so I see creators that can become full-time employees and a full extension of brands, having that superpower similar to coaches that have been great players or just players on the field.
It makes sense. It's like an entrepreneur that goes to teach a business school compared to someone in the academia that never built a company. Maybe really good in theory, but no social proof about it, right? While entrepreneur builds something there. So it makes sense, and it's gonna absolutely happening. So to start wrapping up, I have some questions for you, super quick. You just have to go with it, okay? Whatever it is, I don't need full explanation. Just tell me, okay, whatever. Can be super quick, okay? I have different ones. So first of all, this is about something about the creator economy, mostly because again we talk about that today. So I'm gonna tell you 3 different products. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I think so. Do you think they're gonna stay? They're gonna be a big hit or not? And in the long term, Pizza by David Dobrik.
Okay. No.
Okay. Burgers by Mr. Beast.
Yes.
The new bidet device by Ludwig.
For a niche audience.
Okay. Really niche. I like that. Okay. Fantastic. That was it. I wanted just to throw them there completely. 2 about food and 1 is really different. If people don't know, just Google about bidet Ludwig because it's an interesting case study, let's say. Okay. You are into again, social media. You love doing this, but was it better when it was only MySpace and Nokia's around you, or now with all these social media and be always connected?
I love social media, but there's a lot of negative things with it. I think it's better today. Okay. It's better today.
Let's change the subject. If you were a superhero, what power would you like to have?
To teleport.
Nice. I love it. Books or movies?
Movies. I go to the movies all the time. That's one of my way to depress. I go a ton.
And what is your favorite movie then?
I'm a big horror fan. So I love all the Halloweens. I love all the Saws. I've been an AMC Plus. Hopefully, I'm not promoting another brand, but AMC Plus member for years. When I was laid off before Mavrck, when I was at Mavrck beginning of my career, I had gone to the movies probably 30 times in, I think, over a span of 3 months. So
you're a big fan of
movies. Yeah, I have to pull my wife to come with me sometimes. But I love it. It's a great way to kind of. I love that and hiking outside of kind of being fully ingrained in the creative opposites. It's total.
Yeah, exactly. In one, you are to stay in the dark for a couple of hours, and the other one is you in the nature. I love this because you need both in life. Tomorrow you win 10 millions cash at a lottery, whatever. The first thing that you buy.
We'll buy a house. We're house shopping, so buy a house. Yeah,
makes sense, especially nowadays. Favorite food?
It was Chinese food, and I stopped eating meat. And my favorite thing was orange chicken. I would say today it's probably Mexican. I'd say Mexican.
I mean, they're amazing. It's difficult to choose. I know that is a tricky question, but and so, what is your favorite drink instead?
Alcoholic or
whatever you like. Could be 1 and 1.
Simply lemonade. I love Simply lemonade. I'd say if it's an adult beverage, really been enjoying espresso martinis.
Oh, love it. Nice. That's a good choice. If you have to choose, breathe underwater or fly?
Fly.
And last one, book smart or street smart?
Street smart.
Love it. Well, this was just to understand a bit more about you. And I'm also using this because sometimes people never ask themselves these questions, and I think it's a nice mirror type of experience, right, to understand a bit more about yourself, and also to the people outside business, right, because sometimes business only tells something about you, but then there is again, so much more, right, about you that people might not know. So thank you so much for joining me, Lindsey. This was really good. And for everyone else, so I told people already like that you are on LinkedIn, but where people can find you also. What is the name of the newsletter that you write?
Yeah, there's no name. So I have a website, just lindseygamble.com. I've been running the newsletter for, it'll be a year in December. I haven't come up with a name right now. It's just Lindsey Gamble's newsletter. If you have a great recommendation, let me know. But everything's linked out on my website. If you search Lindsey Gamble, probably not too many black males out there. So find me and connect. I love talking to people. I love learning, and also just love kind of helping out however I can.
I love it. Fantastic. Thank you. This was a really great episode. You brought a lot of experience and insights, and also a bit of fun at the end, thanks to your amazing answers there. So thank you so much for joining me today. For everyone else, this was The Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.